Hey there, I'm Jason, and this is Something Like Media, and here we go with another video. And I did not think for my second video that I would be doing another movie review. That was not my intention, but I saw Black Widow last night, and I got some entertainment out of it. It also had some underlying, unintentional, existential, kind of surreal, real-world applications applied to it. And I wanted to kind of touch on that. So that's why I'm making this video on Black Widow. So it's kind of like a movie review hybrid / overarching view on some real world things that are happening right now. So yeah, let's get into it.
I got something to say.
Shout out, first of all, to the guy sitting next to me the entire movie, jabbing his elbow into mine. That was great. The cherry on top was him open mouth coughing throughout the pretty much entirety of the film. So I appreciate that. It really enhanced the movie-going experience for me. Very much appreciated. And it all was included in the ticket price. Pretty awesome stuff there. You know, starting off with the basic stuff, the acting and the special effects were top-notch. They're what you'd expect from a Marvel movie, especially one like this with such a huge budget. I think the budget for this film is like $200 million. They definitely spared no expense in that department, and it had all the CGI effects, everything you'd expect. Didn't have much humor, though, for a Marvel movie. They tried a few times to throw in some humor here and there, mostly hit or miss, or excuse me, it was mostly miss, so there's that. Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh, the two female leads, were distractingly beautiful. You'll see that for yourself. And I think that's whether you're a guy or a girl, you can appreciate that, which definitely helped during the more draggy, slow scenes in the movie. Movie's over 2 hours. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes. So definitely helped in that department, at least for me. David Harbour's character, he played a guy called Red Guardian. And he was basically the town drunk of the movie. His role was basically just meant to make the female leads look competent and in charge. He had one extended fight sequence, but it was just him being used as a punching bag. He could have not been in the film, and it wouldn't have changed anything. So I don't really have a lot to say on that other than, you know, he's a good actor. Ray Winstone, you may or may not know of him. He always plays a good bad guy.
What are you drinking?
Cranberry juice.
What is it, your period? Get him a cranberry juice.
Yeah, he was great for his role. But interestingly enough, the main villain isn't really well established for quite a portion of the film. And it wasn't really coherent at times. It was kind of hard to determine who the main villain in the film was. So you couldn't really establish who the main bad guy was for quite a while. So take with that what you will. I don't know why my voice is so hoarse right now.
Is he all right?
Oh, he caught a cold the other day, and he's just a little hoarse.
Apologies. Of course, the film wouldn't have been complete without having the inept beta male hipster character who is barely capable of performing even the simplest of tasks.
I feel traumatized, bruh. And now I'm tweeting about you, bruh. And now you're trending, bruh. And now your life is ruined, bruh. And now you're fired, bruh.
He was annoying and mostly useless. But again, this is used to make the female lead look competent and superior. You know, again, it's a female lead-driven film, so you would expect no less from Hollywood. You know, I was on the fence about mentioning this or not, but there's a scene with a pig, a little ways past halfway through the movie, maybe a little further, and it was kind of a sad, unnecessary scene. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, even though there's not much to spoil, but it just wasn't. I just felt like it was an unnecessary scene. I don't know why they threw it in. Me, as someone who's an animal lover, didn't really care for it. It didn't make me cry and crawl into a safe space or anything like that. But it was definitely an unnecessary scene, in my opinion. You may or may not care. just thought I'd mention it. Getting into the more serious, tone of the movie, though, or, kind of, I guess you would say undertones and overtones, because a lot of it is really just on the nose with it. Collectivism and Hollywood, they're very tone deaf and hypocritical when it comes to more serious topics like the evils of communism. It should be universally understood. There's nothing good that comes from communism.
We now return to popular Russian cartoon Shoe and Shoeless.
Shoe and shoeless. One is meaningless without the other.
And it's not that they paint it in a good light or anything in this film. They don't. They seem to acknowledge it, but yet they don't seem to see the parallels happening in America. And they don't seem to care, because money over everything.
Money over everything.
Obviously, as someone who's a proponent of capitalism, I don't have a problem with that. But the other side, the left, they certainly don't paint capitalism in a good light. But there was a kind of an existential question regarding individuality and freedom. They do promote that in the movie and see it as a good, which is important. Yet Hollywood producers and writers think that big government and groupthink collectivism is somehow compatible with that message of liberty and individuality and freedom. But spoiler alert.
Oh, hang on. Spoiler alert!
It's not. Those things are completely antithetical to each other. There was a really awkward scene. It was a very awkward scene regarding female reproductive organs and forced hysterectomies, human sterilization, and overall just essentially female body mutilation. It was really surreal to me. And what struck me was the fact that I felt like most of the movie-going audience, and understandably so, probably weren't even thinking about like the real-world applications, the real-world aspects of what they're talking about, because it's not like this part of the movie that they're speaking of is purely science fiction. It's a very much nonfiction. It happens every day, all over the world. And I don't think we appreciate that enough living in the country that we do, assuming you're in the United States, where I'm at, or in some other country that obviously doesn't allow that kind of thing, at least legally. I felt like there was a very real-world application here. They're talking about this in the film, and the Black Widow program, I guess you would call it, where they force all these women, they take them from their home countries where they were either orphans, or they just literally steal them straight from their parents, or they nab them right off the street. These are real-world things that happen every day. It's not a joke. It really does happen. And you have countries like Haiti where they will literally sell their own children into work slavery because the country's so poor. And then you have countries like India and Nigeria where there's literal sex slave trades that are big business there. And then you have countries like China who, communist China, where they have the Uyghur Muslims in China that are forced into internment camps, and they're forcibly sterilized. And then, of course, obviously Russia, which is, where these girls were at for a long period of time growing up in this harsh training environment where they were sterilized, where they were slaves. They weren't allowed to have their own opinions or views. They were brainwashed, literally brainwashed. And I don't mean to go too much on a tangent. It's a Marvel movie, but it really does have real world ramifications. So it is something that I felt needed to be mentioned in a large part of this video. The film obviously sets the stage for the next generation of Marvel movies and TV shows. In conclusion, it's a pretty decent film overall for what it was. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Again, the acting, the special effects, CGI, everything was top notch, as you'd expect. The story was decent. So it's an overall enjoyable movie, and I'd love to know what your opinion is on the film. If you wouldn't mind liking this video and subscribing to my channel, I will do everything in my power to not make my third video another movie review, because that was never my intention for this second video. I appreciate you sitting through this, watching it. Hopefully you got some entertainment value out of it, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye.